Yes, I'll try.
Hit start video is usually the step that people are missing.
You see me now?
Did you hit start video?
Yes. It
Don't
shows
speak.
my face on there.
Well, at the bottom of the screen, you need to hit start video.
I need help with start video.
Well, what do you see at the bottom of the screen?
Okay, I think I'm on there now.
Yes,
There I go.
yes, thank you.
You're going.
Ms. Stevens, what's being proposed on Mr. Dickinson's case?
Yes, Your Honor. To the charge of possession of marijuana, Class B misdemeanor, he pleads guilty. And for the count of driving on suspended license, the Class B misdemeanor, he also pleads guilty.
All right. Have you had an opportunity to go over your client's rights that he'd be waiving by entering pleas to those two charges?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you satisfied that he understood those rights, and in your opinion, would it be a knowing and voluntary waiver of those rights in this case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Dickinson, you've heard the proposed settlement that your attorney presented to the court. Are you in agreement with that?
Yes.
Do you understand that any sentencing recommendations that might be made to the court, either by your attorney or the prosecutor, that I'm not bound to follow those sentencing recommendations? I can impose up to the maximum penalties allowed by law on those two Class B misdemeanor charges. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, I do.
Then to count one in this case, the Class B misdemeanor charge for possession of a controlled substance, marijuana, or spice, alleged to have occurred on August 20th, 2023 in Morgan County. How do you plead to that charge?
I plead guilty, sir.
To count two, Class B misdemeanor charge for driving on an alcohol suspended or revoked driver's license, same date, same location. How do you plead to that charge?
I plead guilty.
Are you doing that voluntarily, sir?
Yes, sir. I'm just trying to get it done and over with.
The court will accept your pleas. I'll find they were knowingly and voluntarily entered. Counts 3 and 4 are dismissed pursuant to the negotiated settlement of those other two Class B misdemeanor charges. Did he want to move forward with sentencing this evening, Ms. Stevens?
Yes, Your Honor. We have discussed that for a 12-month court probation, plus the $690 fine for the marijuana, and I believe it's $750 for the suspended.
Christina, can you pull Mr. Dickinson's, what I'm really interested in, and probably more than anything, is the driving history.
Judge, there was a prior driving on revocation in Murray, April of 2021. And the only other charge he's had in the last 3 years is the following: too close out of Taylorsville.
How did he get suspended for the alcohol suspension? I wonder if there's no DUI offense on there. Do you know, Ms. Stevens or Ms. Christopherson, how he got an alcohol suspension or revocation?
I don't know how the license was suspended, Your Honor.
I can tell you how, Honor.
I'd be interested in that. I don't know if your attorney wants you to tell me.
I had a court date and I missed it, so they suspended my license.
Well, that wouldn't result in a Class B misdemeanor suspension. The only way a person can commit a Class B misdemeanor driving on suspended or revoked license is if your license was suspended as a result of a DUI conviction or refusing to submit to a chemical test. It has to be an alcohol-related suspension. Class B misdemeanor.
Judge, I don't see any of those on his driving record.
So it seems like there's not a sufficient factual basis to support the defendant's plea to the Class B misdemeanor alcohol suspended or revoked, unless, Ms. Christopherson, you have additional evidence that would show why that should be a B misdemeanor.
I don't, Your Honor. I'm just seeing a bunch of no insurance and requiring the SR-22.
I don't believe it would be appropriate for the court to accept his plea. I know I already said I did, but now that we're to sentencing, it doesn't sound to me like that is charged correctly to me.
Your Honor, can I amend the charge to no insurance?
Well, I don't know. It'd be subject to the settlement. That wasn't filed in this case. You could certainly amend it from a B misdemeanor suspension to a C misdemeanor suspension. That's not alcohol related, but I guess if you were wanting to change the charge or something, you probably ought to talk to Ms. Stevens about that, since the parties had reached a settlement on those other two charges. I'm sure Ms. Stevens and her client wouldn't object to a reduction in the level of the offense from a B to a C on count 2. And I'm not trying to dictate what happens here between the parties, but I can't in good conscience accept a plea on a Class B misdemeanor alcohol suspended or revoked license if there's no basis for an alcohol suspension.
Mr. Dickinson would be willing to plead guilty to the Class C misdemeanor.
And that will work for the state, Your
Okay.
Honor. You'll do the C.
Okay, so we'll reduce that to a C misdemeanor, driving on suspended, revoked, not alcohol related, because it doesn't appear to be any basis for that to be the B misdemeanor variety. And that's the only way a suspension can be a B misdemeanor, is if it's alcohol related. So, as far as sentencing is concerned, any sentencing recommendations from the defense, Ms. Stevens?
Yes, Your Honor, recommendation would be the 12-month court probations of no major violations during that 12 months.
Oh, and you already told me the fine amount. Now, I think the recommended fine on the suspension changes where it's a C instead of a B. Christina, did you say there was one prior suspension?
Yes, in 2021.
Okay, thank you. Well, Mr. Dickinson, do you know what suspended jail time is? Do you know what that means?
Yes.
Have you ever been convicted of any other drug-related charges besides this marijuana one in this case?
Nope.
Okay. On the marijuana charge, I'll order 30 days in jail. I'll suspend all 30 days, and the fine will be $690 as a first offense of that nature. On the Class C misdemeanor, driving on suspension or revoked license, I'll order, where you have a prior conviction, I'll order 10 days on that, suspend all 10 days, and the fine on that will be $500. That's a total of,
Judge,
yes.
there was a prior conviction for possession of controlled substance.
Oh, thank you, Christina, for bringing that to my attention. When was that?
That was August of 2022 in Utah County.
Okay. Well, I'm going to back up then, Mr. Dickinson. I'll actually order 45 days in jail on that. I'll order a fine of $750 on the marijuana charge. On the driving on suspension, it'll still be 10 days and $500. That's $1,250 total in fines. I'm placing you on 18 months court probation. It's good behavior probation. Terms and conditions are don't have any of the violations of the law. No violations of the law, not even a traffic ticket. Don't drive without a valid license, registration, insurance. Do not use, purchase, possess, or consume any controlled substance other than those for which you have a valid prescription. Use those only as prescribed. You'll be required to get substance abuse evaluation and assessment and complete any treatment as recommended. I'm going to give you a deadline of July 15th to complete that evaluation and assessment and get the proof turned into the court that you've completed that. I'm going to give you a deadline of January 15th, 2025 to complete whatever treatment is recommended pursuant to that evaluation assessment and get that proof turned into court by then. Now, it's $1,250, but I place you on 18 months court probation. So if I take that amount, divide it amongst your probation period, I can set payments at $80 a month and start those July 1st. Can you afford to pay $80 a month?
July 1st, yes.
Okay. $80 a month begins July 1 on or before the first of each month thereafter until paid in full. We'll email all this information out to you. Do you have any questions?
So, did you spend that jail time or?
I did. I suspended 45 days on the marijuana charge and 10 days on the driving on suspension. As long as you obey the court's orders and obey the law for the next year and a half while you're on probation, you won't have to serve any of that jail time. But if you break the law or don't obey the court's orders, you can serve the full 55 days.
All right, and how do I do this class or whatever?
Well, if you live in Utah County, right?
No, I live in Salt Lake City.
Oh, I'm sorry, in Salt Lake City. So you can go to any agency authorized by the state's Department of Health and Human Services to do those kind of evaluations and assessments. Valley Mental Health in Salt Lake County is probably the cheapest place to do it because that's a government subsidized agency run by the county.
Oh, okay.
Christina, will you send him the contact info for Valley Mental Health in case he'd like to get started with those folks?
Yes.
All right. Any other questions, Mr. Dickinson?
No, sir.
Okay, have a good evening then. Thank you.
You too.
Ms. Stevens, any others you ready on?
Yes, Your Honor.